What are some of the strangest solved mysteries? Which case has the deepest rabbit hole? I was thinking about this earlier today, after I looked at my laptop clock and realized I'd been sat for 5 hours going deeper and deeper into a certain case that I'm not supposed to talk about. No discussion of that please, or this post will get removed. The Zodiac is another one that goes endlessly down with such a wealth of information out there. The ear/ons is another one, because there were just so many crimes linked directly to him. There is an infinite amount of reading available. Which case do you think has the deepest rabbit hole? What's the longest amount of time you've spent going deeper and deeper into that hole? Which solved mystery was so unpredictable that had someone not lived to tell the tale, it would have been an absolute legend in this sub? A little different, I realize. But we all know that we get a lot of the same questions asked here. So I hope this is allowed. I'm talking about those mysteries that are so odd, unbelievable or crazy that we would never ever have guessed what really happened if there hadn't been someone or some evidence to point to what actually happened. What rabbit hole have you found the most satisfying? If you love true crime, you've been down plenty of rabbit holes. Which was your favorite? The kind that took up 5 hours and you barely felt it, minus the popular ones like here, awareness, serial, ma'am, staircase, etc. What are some cases that got resolved later on, only to have the most bizarre explanations ever? I read most of the cases here and was wondering about the infinite possibilities of outcomes. It got me curious about what would be the weirdest stories that got solved with unimaginable solutions. Would you know any? Are there any cases where a killer has posted on forums regarding their crimes? I was browsing through the ear/ons subreddit when I came across an interesting post. Some people believe that the ear/ons has been active on a forum about his crimes, however there was no mention as to whether or not he posted anything. I was wondering if there have been events similar to this. Which unsolved mystery are you convinced of to have the answer for? Which unsolved mystery are you convinced of having the answer for? Do you ever think that there are kidnapped victims trapped in someone's basement right now? After the Cleveland kidnappings and JC Duguid, I wonder if there are any other people stuck somewhere like that. There's a lot of kidnapped victims who haven't been found. Do you think there's people stuck in someone's home or basement right now with some psycho? Are there any hotspots for unresolved mysteries, for instance? Towns with an unusual number of missing people. Which pictures connected to a mystery or crime gives you the creeps? Irrelevant if it is a fake or unlikely thing, like Nessie, or so don't forget to put a trigger or not safe for work warning if you post pictures of deceased or otherwise disturbing images. Thank you. Has anyone ever had an incident in which they believe they had a close call with being a murder victim? April 1993. I was a senior in high school. I had traveled to San Diego alone to spend spring break with a friend who was living out there. I flew from Detroit Metro Airport, and it was the first time I had ever flown. The trip was successful, and so was the return flight. When I arrived back in Detroit, my parents had said they would be waiting for me by the gate pre 9/11. Of course, when I disembarked, they were not there, and being an impatient 17-year-old, I decided not to wait for them and go get my luggage. As I was walking down the concourse, this extremely handsome man who was probably in his mid-20s approached me. He said he was having trouble using the ATM machine, they were still pretty new, and wanted to know if I would accompany him down the concourse and help him with his ATM card. Now, normally I would have been very flattered that this hot guy had approached me, but immediately bells went off in my head. Why is he asking for help from a teenage girl when there are all these adults around who would know better than I how to use an ATM? I truthfully told him that I had never used an ATM. He gave me some line that I looked so intelligent that I would be able to figure it out. I glanced around and did not see any ATM in the area. So I asked him where it was, and he pointed in a general direction and told me that we can't see it from here, but it's just down the concourse and not too far away. I remember feeling this was strange, because wouldn't you ask someone for help in the vicinity of the ATM? Just then, I spotted a security guard, and I told the man that there was a security guard and they would be better equipped to help him than I would be. He turned, and once he saw the security guard, there was a slight look of panic that crossed his face. and he said he was sorry for bothering me and took off in the opposite direction of where he had pointed the ATM had been. I will never forget how I felt during this conversation. All my instincts immediately screamed, run. Of course, maybe he really did need help with an ATM. We'll never know. All I know is that I feel as though I avoided something sinister on that day 23 years ago. Has anything similar happened to anyone? Are there any sites where you can practice solving crime/mysteries? Like a detective simulator? I know of 5minutemysteries.com, but I was thinking more along the lines of crime scene work. Edit. Honestly, thanks for the help, but none of these suggestions are quite what I was looking for. I'm seriously considering research into starting a website of my own. One where you could go and solve fake/maybe real crimes via pictures, data, evidence, interviews, etc. So far I have only found one site like this on the internet, and it's a poorly done operation that tries to grab money from you pretty early. If anyone is interested in helping out with this, message me. Keep in mind this will definitely be a lazy side project for me, at least to start, which involves a lot of procrastination and not meeting any sort of deadline. NBC has done an interview on the East Area rapist, but won't air it because they believe there is no interest. You can help. As post from r/Irons. In June 2016, NBC filmed an interview with the daughter of a victim, Cherry Domingo. Her name is Deb. The piece was never aired. Recently NBC told Deb, unfortunately, the interest has dropped off. I disagree. I think the story needs to be told. The year changed hundreds of lives. There are many victims and families that need closure. This story could reach the right person. I urge everyone to read Deb's post and to email NBC with the email she provided. Respectfully ask them to air the interview. Here's what Deb said about it. I actually was interviewed by Steve Patterson from NBC News out of Los Angeles back on June 24th, 2016. Obviously, very soon after the FBI press conference, when the story was hot, greater than sign. The interview they did was in depth, on camera, and very powerful. I'm told the piece they put together was production value, but it got shelved due to other, more urgent current events in the news, wildfires and so, Cal, etc. The latest NBC contact I had said that unfortunately, the interest has dropped off, and that the program producers aren't convinced that the story needs to be told. I'll bet that if individuals, i.e. you guys, would start contacting NBC asking for that interview to air, not just locally, but nationwide, they just might pull it down off the shelf. My contact there was wonderful, but people higher up the chain are the decision makers. So, I will post her email here, but I implore you all, greater than sign, when you write to her, please be respectful and gracious, and ask her to forward your email to her higher ups. Email to Kathy.Leverett@nbcuny.com.